This segment of the Chopin podcast is brought to you by the Chopin Foundation of the United States, dedicated to promoting young American pianists and making Chopin's music accessible to all. This is William Kapell, or Willy as he was known to friends and family. Born in 1922, William Kapell was regarded as an older brother to a generation of young American pianists that included Leon Fleischer, Eugene Istomin, and Gary Grafman. But just as he was scaling the heights of piano immortality, Kapell tragically passed away in a plane crash at the age of 31. At the time of his death, he had recently begun taking students, among them Jerome Lowenthal. Jerry, as he's known to friends and family, went on to have a celebrated career as a concert pianist and professor at the Juilliard School. Now in his 90s, Jerry continues to perform and teach. I was fortunate to interview Jerry in his Manhattan apartment in the fall of 2024, alongside Dave and Josh Kapell, Willy's son and grandson. The following is a scene from that interview, in which I have Jerry listen and react to Chopin Mazurka recordings made by William Kapell, before comparing them to other luminaries of 20th century Chopin playing, Arthur Rubinstein, Ignaz Friedman, and another one of Jerry's teachers, Alfred Cortot.
He did these recordings at his piano. He knew them all so well that he didn't feel he had to make a grand performance of them. I was there when he was recording them, and that was all, of course, at the very end of his life. He knew them all, as I said. And the first person he heard play them must have been Rubinstein. And I don't know how he got to Rubinstein to begin with. Maybe you do. But he used to play for Rubinstein when he was a kid.
From Rubinstein's autobiography. Dorothy Chadwick called me a few days later. "Arthur, I have a great favor to ask you. The owner of the little bookshop on the corner of my street tells me all the time about the talent of his young son, who is only 13 years old, and he says he cannot afford to buy the boy a piano. Would you consent to hear him play, because my decision to give him a piano will depend on your opinion?" I promised, of course, and she brought the young boy the next afternoon to the hotel. Steinway had provided me with a good piano, so I asked them to come up to our drawing room. The boy was not attractive to look at, with a face full of pimples, a mop of curly, disheveled hair, and dark eyes scrutinizing me without friendship. After fussing with the stool and trying out the keyboard, he played a prelude and fugue of Bach very well indeed. 3 more pieces by Chopin and Liszt convinced me he was already a pianist. "Dorothy," I said, "you can give him 2 pianos. Willy Kapell right away became over-friendly with me and tried to amuse me by speaking badly of his teacher, who happened to be my friend Joseph Levine. When I reprimanded him, he burst out, 'He doesn't understand me. I have no communication with him. But if you could take me on, I feel I could make real progress.'"
That's wonderful. I must have read that, but many years ago, and I'd forgotten it. Rubinstein really was his great hero. And he certainly modeled his life on Rubinstein. And like Rubinstein, he thought he should have a large family. And the Polish repertoire meant a great deal to him. And supremely, the Chopin playing meant a great deal to him. Now, where he discriminated between what he admired and what he didn't was in the question of accuracy. He had somehow picked up fanaticism about wrong notes. and Rubinstein, who played plenty of right notes, but he allowed himself to play an occasional wrong notes. This was intolerable to Willy.
If you don't mind, I wanted to return to mazurkas. Just play a little bit of Arthur Rubinstein playing a specific mazurka, just a little bit, and then I'll hear Kapell, and we'll see if there's any...
Yes, that's very interesting.
This is an Arthur Rubinstein recording of the opening of Chopin's Mazurka in C-sharp minor, Opus 63, number 3. Now here's William Kapell's recording of the same passage.
Well, I certainly prefer Willy's to Rubinstein's. Part of the question is how much you do with the dance. Willy's wonderful. I think you can do even more, something like that instead of that, to bring out the unexpected intervals. Look, this was only for both of them, of course, just one particular performance. Both of them played these things many times and played them differently.
Just to bring things into relief, here's Friedman playing it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to. That was wonderful, yes.
Those little...
Yes,
lifts.
yes. And the eighth notes, it's always ti-da-da. He never plays. That is instead of that. Well, it's wonderful that we can do so many different things with this music, and it always comes alive. I was asked by the University of Maryland to write the notes for an issue of Mazurkas that they were doing. And for that, I asked them to give me copies of different people playing Mazurkas. And I compared them. And I found that very interesting because, of course, people really are very different in their approach to mazurkas. And I found that one could have a sliding scale on one side, dance, and on the other side, song. And the pianists differed very much. Friedman was all dance. He never hesitated to cut the phrase, and he did that. If it was Cortot, there was no dance at all. There was a great deal of song. Other people were in the middle. Kapell was influenced by Rubinstein, of course, and you can hear that.
Here is Arthur Rubinstein playing the opening of Chopin's Mazurka in E minor, Opus 17, number 2. Now, here's William Kapell.
Well, that was very entertaining because, of course, it's many years since I've listened to these. I expected Willy's to be less imaginative and free, and actually it was more. He was always afraid of exaggeration, and when he heard me play this Chopin Nocturne, he was furious because I made an accelerando towards the end, and he said, "This is the sort of thing I've been fighting against all my life," which sounded almost absurd to me, even to me. But he felt very passionate about this. So they're both wonderful, of course. But and then Willy does. Something like that. Whereas Rubinstein keeps a stricter rhythm. Willy worried very much about these things. He said to Anna Lou, "If I were serious about playing mazurkas, I would have to go to Poland and play for every piano teacher in the country. And she poo-pooed that, as well she might have, because of course it was ridiculous. But he was worried about that. He wanted his mazurkas to be authentic. And that's a marvelous piece, and that was one of his favorite mazurkas.
Thanks for listening to the Chopin Podcast. If you like what I do, consider supporting my Patreon. For this episode, that includes some entertaining scenes with Garrick Olson that didn't make the cut, as well as a few more highlights from my interview with Jerry Lowenthal. On the next episode of the Chopin Podcast, we continue to delve into the mazurkas. Beginning with the second part of my interview with Garrick, surveying highlights from Chopin's mazurkas, we'll gradually shift gears towards broader topics concerning the cultural meanings of the mazurkas over the past 2 centuries. That includes an interview with Polish musician Janusz Pruzanowski on the diverse native styles and instruments of mazurking. And I also catch up with Chelsea Guo, American pianist and soprano, who will do some show and tell with a collection of Chopin mazurkas that were set to text by 19th century French singer, composer, and pianist Pauline Viardot, a friend and frequent duet partner of Chopin. Stay tuned.